What is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. Alright, so this is the situation we have right here. Invest 97L has dissipated. It's not being designated by the NHC anymore, so we're going to basically move past that. We have the latest runs in from the GFS and European model. We're going to be going over that, and we're going to be cross-checking that with the wind shear, moist air, all that, to see what's going to happen when this hurricane season is going to start ramping up, because the conditions have been changing quite a lot recently. It's just the wind shear really isn't there yet. Like, if this is the wind shear right here, this is right now. This is absolutely insane. It's not very good in a lot of areas, so that's why we really haven't been seeing a lot of systems. So, yeah, that's what we're looking at. And let's just first start with the wind shear, because the wind shear is expected to weaken dramatically in a lot of areas. And what I'm talking about, just let me show you what's going on. Like, all this red, that's like more than 50 knots of wind shear. This is around 20 to 30 right here. This is about 50 is here as well. And as the days go on, it starts here in this area right here, the wind shear starts weakening considerably the next 4 days in parts of the Atlantic and the Caribbean right here. It was before around like 30 to 40, even 50 knots. Now it's going to go down to around maybe 30 to like 20 to 30. So that's the first thing we're looking at right here. And then as we continue, it does look like we see some vorticity potentially happening in the parts of the Caribbean right here. That is that one cell I was talking about that is potentially going to move up the coast and potentially hit the western Gulf Coast. We'll get to that in a second. And then, yeah, that wind shear just considerably weakens, and if that thing is able to stay off the coast, if it's able to stay offshore, then at that point, the weaker wind shear and the warm waters, if we take a look at the waters, they are insanely warm. We're looking at 28 to 29 degrees Celsius in the Caribbean Sea. That is really warm, and that water is also really deep down, about 80 meters deep. So that's what we're looking at right here. So yeah, that's absolutely insane. If this thing continues to weaken, like, we could potentially see that scenario playing out I was talking about yesterday, and we have the latest model runs in, and we're going to be showing you guys some more, because the European is starting to pick up on something potentially happening. So we'll get to that in just a second, but that's what we're taking a look at. The wind shear starts weakening considerably. We have another invest coming off, and it's going to go through the ITCZ right here. And at this point, the shear isn't really going to stop it at that point. And anything that comes off of it, off of Mauritania, that's not really going to do absolutely anything at this point. So, yeah, the wind shear continues weakening. And then we have this ridge setting up right here. And that's going to continue. That's going to basically be there for a while. But by August 25th, the wind shear is considerably less. Like, they might have some problems in the main development region, but once it passes that and enters areas of the more central Atlantic, more into the Caribbean, it's going to be open season at this point. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get to the latest ensemble runs. So if we take a look at the GFS, and we've already looked at the warm water, we've looked at the wind shear with this as well. If we take a look at the GFS runs, it starts developing. It either stays just offshore or it goes on the coast. It exits the Yucatan Peninsula and then starts developing, starts organizing, intensifying. And this latest run has a potential system, actually has two areas of interest, actually. We have one potential tropical storm hitting part of eastern Mexico, and another potentially up to Category 2 hurricane status system right here, potentially making landfall near Corpus Christi, Texas, which is something we absolutely do not want. That's something we absolutely do not need. And it's also around the 5-year anniversary of Hurricane Harvey. Now, do I think this is going to be another Hurricane Harvey scenario? We're going to have to wait and see when it comes to that. But the model runs have been pretty consistent, and it's either going to be at least at some point in the western Gulf Coast right here in the United States. And even the Europeans picking up on it. If we go to the European model, if we go ahead and go even back to the 12Z first, because I put in my community post that the 12Z had something showing up. And if we take a look at it, we're looking at this stuff right here. We're looking at a couple of areas of ensemble members indicating that something might be happening in the next 10 days or so. And we have one run that has it making landfall as a Category 1 hurricane near the Texas-Mexico border. So that's a situation that's been piquing my interest. Normally, I would dismiss stuff like this if it's from the GFS, but the European's starting to pick up on a few things as well. We're not exactly sure how strong it's going to get, but it is depicting a couple of scenarios. One of it making landfall as a hurricane in the Mexico-Texas border. Another is a tropical storm making landfall in the same area. So at this point, it does look like something is collaborating at this point. If we take a look at the 0Z, which we already took a look at the 0Z of the GFS, let's match see what the 0C for the European says. And if we take a look at it, it does have it a little bit weaker. We're looking at a couple of tropical storm scenarios and impacting parts of Texas and Mexico right here. So it's basically still the same. It just same ensemble members. It just looks like the Europeans now starting to weaken it a little bit, but this is just one model run. The point I'm trying to make here is that the European is starting to pick up on potential development either in the Caribbean Sea or in the western Gulf of Mexico. And depending on how that's executed, we'll continue to update you guys as the situation develops, because hurricane season is starting to heat up. If we continue to even move it through here, like we have a lot more scenarios of developing tropical storms or hurricanes. We even have a potentially have another hurricane in the Caribbean Sea about to hit the Yucatan Peninsula, but this is August 25th. And even if we take a look at the GFS back at that time, right, real quickly, it's pretty interesting to take a look at. And yeah, we have a lot more ensemble members going out now. And it does look like that hurricane season is about to really just skyrocket in after the next week or so. So we will continue to update you guys as the situation progresses. But with that being said, we're going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It helps me out and helps me make more videos like these. The goal of this channel is to get more people engaged with weather. But with that being said, guys, have a wonderful day. Hit the red subscribe button and stay safe.